What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down the 3 best routes from the Week 16 NFL season, okay? So we're going to be talking about how you guys can get separation on a double move route. This is what we're going to look at first, and then we're going to be talking about these 2 routes by Calvin Ridley and Amari Cooper, okay? So, and also, guys, if you want to see a video where I break down 10 of the biggest mistakes receivers make, so it's 10 different one-on-one route scenarios, man coverage versus a DB, and the mistakes that receivers make and why they lose the rep, check out that link in the description for a video where I break down 10 mistakes wide receivers make, the most common ones. Hope to get you guys on that video soon. Let's get started with this breakdown. So this first route here from David Moore, we're going to be looking at this little like stutter and then go route, okay? So when we're going to be talking about this thing, let's play this thing full speed, then we'll break it down. So you see how he's coming here, snaps down with his hips, and then he accelerates, right? And then he makes this great catch over the top, throws a little bit behind me. Obviously could have put him downfield a little bit more, but we're going to focus on the catch as well. This is a hell of a play, okay? So now when he's coming off here, you see how Moore, first things first, when we're in this like kind of off man scenario and you got to run anything, it's about closing the distance, but also selling fade, right? So you see immediately off the line, he's got his head down, he's keeping his chest down. All this is just to get that DB in that back pedal and hopefully get him to turn his hips. So when I do decide to snap it down, that's what will draw this guy in, right? So you see how he's running full speed, snaps this thing down. You see how violent he is with his hips, right? Because what's the DB going to be looking at? He's going to be looking at your hips. So if you guys just kind of cruise and slow down your speed and you don't drop at all, that DB's not going to bite on this thing. But also if you have an indicator, right? If you start picking your chest up and slowing down in this break, it's going to make it easier for this DB to put the brakes on, and he's going to have more reaction time, right? The whole goal is to try to force a reaction out of him, but a reaction where he has to jump on this thing, right? So when I come off here and I snap down with my hips, it's got to be violent and it's got to be in stride. So you see how Moore's stride does not change. He stays in the same stride, snaps it off, right? And his hips are violent. That draws this DB in, and he's going to go try to make a play on this thing. He's thinking that it's a stop route, maybe a comeback route, whatever it is. Now, when I get in this position, it's also important that I'm in a low explosive position, because when I drop my hips, it's almost like a 40-yard dash, right? When you guys are running a 40-yard dash, you don't just stand up tall and run, right? You actually get low and you have that drive phase for about 10 yards, and that gives you that explosion, and you could turn that into acceleration, right? So you see when he drops his hips here, he gets his chin to his knee, right? And he draws this DB in. Now this gives me that explosive position where I could accelerate and widen the gap with this DB. So you see how he's here and he keeps his head down, right? He's got him beat right here, but he doesn't look back for the ball early and allow this DB to have a great recovery, right? He keeps that head down, continues to pump those arms. If that ball's put maybe 10 yards out in front of him with air, maybe up a little bit early. I know Russell Wilson was escaping out of the pocket on this, so we understand that, obviously, but if that ball's put out there ahead of him, we got separation. This is going to be an easy play for me. But obviously, this thing's thrown a little bit behind, so we talked about this a little bit yesterday in the video, where the key to making these tough catches, right, is securing this thing, catching it with your eyes first. Obviously, you catch the ball with your hands, but your eyes is what makes this play, and you got to be disciplined with those eyes. So you see how his eyes almost, you want to think of that ball like you're taking a picture of it. Eyes are a camera, or that ball, you want to try to put it in a picture frame. Like the only thing in that picture frame, a small picture frame you put on like a coffee table or a dining room table, the only thing in that frame is the football. That's how you want to think about catching it, right? You want to find something on the football to look at, whether it's the laces, you want it to be able to see if you see the laces or no laces. When you're practicing, maybe you number the 4 sides of the ball and you have to call out that number when it hits your hands. Something to get you to this point and get you to this point to where it's muscle memory, because when you guys can do this, it's pretty hard to drop a ball. And now you see when he secures this catch, it doesn't allow the DB to make a play because he pulls this thing away. And you see how violent he is when he has that ball. He secures it, rips it away from the DB. DB has no chance right here because he's using his body as a shield to protect that thing. So when we go up in traffic, we up and get this thing at its highest point. Let's be violent to the tuck, protect that ball with my body so the DB can't make a play. This is a really good route. This is number 3 on the 3 best routes of the week. And now we're going to be getting into this second slant route here in a second. So great job going up and making this play by Moore. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at this route here from Amari Cooper. We're going to be talking about this kind of like almost slide release, kind of like a skip release to the outside, and working this DB off this platform with this double move, right? So he's a little bit inside shade, more so head up, right? But we have some space to work because we're off the ball. So we got to understand, too, when we use this release, because it's a little bit longer developing of a release, maybe not a first read situation, right? Maybe not like the quarterback's going to be, it's like a zero blitz where everybody's coming at the quarterback. Quarterback's got to get it out of his hands. It's probably not what I'm going to be going with. But this, honestly, it doesn't take him too long to get off the ball. So this is, I would say you could use this maybe when you're a second or first read, but if it's like if the quarterback's getting pressured, he's got to get this thing out of his hands quick. This probably isn't what I'm going to be working with, right? But now, great job here coming off the line. You see how he gives him this little skip to the outside, and he stays in this range, right, where this DB has to make a decision. He doesn't go too close to where this DB can get hands, but he does not go flat. He's gaining ground at almost like this 45-degree angle because that's the range that we want to attack. Now, if you're a shorter guy and you're going up against bigger DBs, this is something great that you can do because when you go in that range and you're quick like this, you can use the quickness of your feet, the ability to throw your hips, selling with your upper half to get you some separation. So how we get this DB off that platform, you see how I skip to the outside and Cooper goes with this 1-2, right? And you see how it's almost like a crossover, literally like it's almost like he's dribbling a basketball, and that's what's going to get this DB jumping to the outside. Now you see how high his eyes are, this DB, right? He's looking at this upper half of Cooper. That's how he loses the DB, right? Because where should that DB be focused on? He should be focused on those hips, but when we stay in that range and we close the distance with this DB and we get him to this point where he's got to make a decision, he's either got to come at me or try to shuffle with me. Oh, my bad. He's either got to shuffle with me or watch my hips, but when his eyes are high, that's what gets him off this platform. But now, that doesn't mean that we only sell with my upper half. You guys can't think about that in the game. You can't be like, oh, the DB's eyes are high. I just got to lean out of it with my upper half. It's got to be muscle memory. You want to almost throw your entire right side to get him to be off this platform, right? And so you see how when he's here and he makes this just 1-2, and you see how he's pushing off that first step, right? Anytime you guys make this 1-2 move, like this crossover, that first step has got to be explosive, but it's got to push you. You got to push off the inside part of that foot so your hip can go this way. And if you throw your hip out like a crossover, that's what gets him to jump even if he's watching your hips, right? Because if he's watching those hips to stay in discipline and you're throwing your hip this way, that actually sells like you're making this one cut and going outside, right? Because that's ultimately at the end of the day what we're trying to sell. We're trying to sell like we're hesitating and then we're just going to the outside and pushing off that inside leg. But when you catch yourself with this right leg right here, you catch yourself, you keep your toes forward, but at the same time you're throwing your hip here. That's how we could stay in an explosive position at the same time get him to jump. Now when I want to take an in, this is why I love this route too, because we work on our hand technique as well. Because when we want to take an inside release against press, know this, what hand do you have to beat? You have to beat his inside hand because that's let's say we just swap this hand. Let's say we don't get him as much off balance and he's able to recover with this left one. We're still off a press. We still got off a press. We still kept the timing. We're able to get separation even if he recovers. So we just got to focus on beating this hand. Keep it simple, fellas. When you guys are working your hand technique off the line of scrimmage or any kind of release, don't get so caught up in, okay, I got to do this fancy. I got to do this hand, I got to place this here. Keep it simple. You got to beat his inside arm. Let's work him to the outside. Let's swat that inside arm as I'm coming over the top. You see how what Amari Cooper does is he just chops with this, and you see where he's attacking. He's attacking that elbow. That's just a force of habit. We get this DB off this platform. We swat that inside arm, and that's when we can get him. If we could get a DB into this position right here, that's very, very big time. That's a lot of separation that we've created. That's a great job by Amari Cooper working this release. So again, anytime we're working that double release where we throw that 1-2, I got to throw my hip, push off of that first leg, keep my toes forward so that weight can stay on the inside part of my foot so I could push and I could accelerate and then I get him off this platform. Let's watch it again full speed one more time. So he slides, 1-2. Swat him by, accelerate, make sure we're bursting out of the cut. Okay, so now this next route is the best route in my eyes from this from week 16. I love this route from Calvin Ridley right here. This is selling like a diamond release. Again, another slant release, but it builds off of a speed release. So what we're going to do here is let me walk you through this, right? DB's a little bit inside shade. So what do we want to do? We want to get him to open up the gate and turn and run because I want to self-fade right here, okay? So how we can self-fade is you want to make it all look the same. So everybody knows that a speed release where you just take this single jab off of that right leg. So you're lined up here, you take that single jab and you just burst up and you just try to beat him to the outside with speed. You know you're faster than this guy. I get to the outside and I just run. That's what a speed release is, right? So that's what we want to sell. But how I sell that is with my upper half and with my speed. Okay, so when he comes here, you see how he takes this first little step, right? That first little step right here. This is making it look the exact same like he's just going here and he's bursting up. And you see how his eyes get to the outside, his shoulders get to the outside, his hips get to the outside. That's what makes that DB turn his hips, right? Because this DB is taught to stay disciplined. He's not going to open up his hips unless he has to. But what forces his hand is because what his biggest nightmare is getting beat over the top on a fade, especially in man coverage. So what forces his hand is good speed with my lower half, committing my hips and my shoulders and my eyes being to the outside, right? And you see see how he attacks this 45-degree angle on this diamond release. He gets him to open up his hips simply because I'm selling this route completely so well, right? I'm selling with my body language, I'm selling with my shoulders, selling with my hips, selling with being in stride, right? A lot of people take this diamond release, and what a diamond release is 3 steps to the outside. So it would be left, right, left, 3 steps on a 45-degree angle to sell fade, then break back underneath. That's what a diamond release is. But these 3 steps, a lot of people will take choppy ones. They'll go 1, 2, 3, and it's real quick, and that's not selling fade. Nobody runs a fade. Nobody's going to run a deep ball with taking choppy steps 40 yards downfield. It doesn't make any sense, right? So make sure that you're staying in stride, and if you're in stride and you commit your pad level, you commit your hips, you commit your eyes, 1, 2, 3, and I'm able to change direction. How I'm able to change direction is by being sudden with that cut right here. That's what gets this DB to turn his hips. That's what allows me to break back underneath, and I'm gone. Now, what could he do right here? He could either speed turn or he could open up like he does. Either one, the speed turn's probably going to be a little bit quicker than what he decides to do here. But either way, I got to make sure that I accelerate because he knows he got beat. Trust me, when you break this thing off and cut back underneath, DB's thinking, oh shit, I got beat to the inside. He's got to open up and chase you, right? So when I get to the outside, if he speed turns out of there, I don't want to be just sitting right in his hands. I got to make sure that I accelerate. So when I break off this thing, 1, 2, 3, I'm pushing off of this leg. I'm creating some explosion. You see how violent Ridley is with those arms. So he could widen the gap at this DB. That's a great job making this play and making this catch in between 2 defenders. Really love this route by Calvin Ridley. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job selling vertical with just 4 steps. Literally takes that speed release, 3 steps on a diamond release, gets this DB to turn his hips, makes him believe fade, and then I break this thing back underneath, accelerate. Right? Got to make sure we accelerate off of any release that sets this DB up to the outside so we can break back inside. Let's watch this thing again, full speed. So he's here, 1, 2, 3. Pop this thing off, get him to turn his hips, and then accelerate out over the middle. Great route by Calvin Ridley. That's the best route in my eyes from Week 16 of the NFL. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, leave those in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And also, guys, if you want to see a video where I break down the mistakes and what receivers do wrong against press DBs, check out that link in the description. I'll see you guys next time.